And anyway, guys, this is what I'm talking about. Just like garbage, 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 garbage. Literally as far as the eye can see. And it's not just washed up from shore. Like, people have been doing illegal bonfires on this beach. So it's just a completely forgotten about beach, unfortunately. Hey everyone, welcome to a new video. My name is Harmon. Today I'm back in Fukuoka, Japan. But today's video is all about a family of 4, the Matsumoto family, who were murdered. And I'm going to show you guys where their bodies were dumped, which is in the bay right next to me. So I'm going to walk and tell you guys the story of what happened. So let's get into it. The date of this terrible event happened on June 20th, 2003. Again, this was the Matsumoto family, which consisted of a dad whose name was Shinjiro Matsumoto. He was 41 years old at the time. His wife, Chika, who was 40 years old at the time. And their 2 children, which were 8 and 11 years old. Now, Shinjiro, the dad, had been strangled with a tie, and his wife, Chika, had been drowned in a bathtub. That is the cause of death for both of them. The children had been strangled or smothered, and once, of course, they had been murdered, the perpetrators ended up taking their bodies and transporting them here to Hakata Bay. Again, this big body of water, again, next to Fukuoka, the city. Now, of course, a family of 4 being murdered is a big deal in Japan because, number one, Japan is considered to be one of the top 5, top 10 safest countries in the world. So murders like this are pretty rare. The way that they were murdered, and of course the disposing of their bodies in this pretty horrific manner, brought the police attention to try to, of course, solve this and try to see what happened. Now, 3 suspects had been identified from some witness testimony. They also had some surveillance cameras from a store where some handcuffs and dumbbells were used in the commission of these terrible murders. So the first suspect, his name was Wei Wei. He was a 24-year-old former language student in Japan. He was actually detained by police in a different case. The other 2 suspects were Yang Ning and Wang Lian. They were also students. They had fled to mainland China after the murders and were actually arrested there. Now, all 3 perpetrators said in an interview, and as I quote, "I committed a crime for the purpose of robbery." That is what they said. That is what they claimed. Now, a little bit of backstory on the Matsumoto family. Both Chika and Shinjiro, again, mom and dad, both ran a very high-end restaurant. And Wang, one of the perpetrators, arrived to the restaurant and saw the family's nice Mercedes-Benz parked outside. Now, according to Wang, he said, and I quote, "There must be a bank deposit of around tens of millions of yen in Matsumoto's house." Again, I think he just saw the nice car outside the restaurant. And so I guess in his mind, he thought, well, if they have a nice car, you know, they have this restaurant here, they must have a ton of money probably stashed away in their house or something. Again, that's just what he said in the interview. I'm taking what he said with a grain of salt, but that is what he claimed. Now, police, of course, did some more investigating, did some more digging, and they stated that there were some pretty big doubts as to whether robbery was the actual motive in this case at all. And the reason why police state that was, for one, the amount of cash that was actually stolen was as little as about 40,000 yen, which if I'm doing my math right, is maybe $280, $260 American. Would you rob a house or kill people for as little as $250? It seems kind of odd. Some other interesting points were there was other valuables left behind, including some pretty nice high-end cameras and some other, of course, high-end ticket items, but they were left behind. The suspects did not take them. Again, it kind of proves what the police had as their theory, like why would they rob a house and not actually take any of these high-end items? It seems kind of bizarre. Now, as I mentioned, all three suspects were found in mainland China and arrested and brought to trial. Two of the three suspects were indicted for murder in July of 2004, and about 6 or 7 months later, January 2005, the Liaoyang Intermediate People's Court sentenced Yang to death, and they sentenced Wang to life imprisonment. And apparently Wang was spared execution due to kind of getting a plea agreement of sorts, as he was cooperating with investigators and, of course, with his confession. So he ended up just getting life imprisonment. Yang, like I mentioned, was sentenced to death on February 3rd, 2005, and he was actually executed less than 6 months later, July 12th, 2005, at the age of 25. So they were not messing around with his execution. I'm actually kind of shocked how quickly he was executed. As you know, you read all the time in America and some other countries, it takes 10, 20, 30 years before an execution is actually taken place. So the fact that it was like 6 months and they executed him is pretty fast. Now, the third suspect was actually indicted in Japan on March 23rd, 2004. Again, this was a suspect named Wei Wei. His trial began on February 1st, 2005, and he was actually sentenced to death. And on December 26th, 2019, Wei Wei was actually executed in the Fukuoka detention house at the age of 40. Again, rest in peace to the Matsumoto family. Again, I just can't fathom how terrible and tragic their last moments were. Just absolutely horrific. So anyway, if you're new around here and you want to see more of these true crime kind of videos, again, I'm filming all around Japan, true crime content, but I've also found some abandoned places, and so I will be uploading true crime, but also some abandoned things along the way. And we'll be going back to America soon, so we'll be filming some more true crime around there. So again, if you're new, make sure you subscribe, and I will see you guys on the next one. Thank you for watching.